now for business news with Hambuba. Hello, good evening. My name is Hambuba. On business news tonight, the amount of metal exports by mining companies still a mystery. Plus, we look at the code behind tailoring those items. Join me after this break.
When fresh thinking and smart thinking come together, it can only be like ABC.
Copper exports and revenue have been a touchy issue, with views split over the benefits the country gets from mining and exporting this commodity. However, government is working on interventions which may put this issue to rest. Details in this report. Zambia is one of the highest copper producers in the world. Copper accounts for 3/4 of Zambia's export earnings. But despite being a major copper producer, the mining industry only contributes 10% of tax revenue to the treasury. This is despite data indicating that copper accounts for 75% of the country's export revenue. Analysts, however, say metal exporters in the country are misreporting the amounts of copper being exported outside the country. The Minister of Mines is taking steps to address these anomalies. Mines Minister Wilbur Simusa wants to ensure that there is equitable distribution of wealth from the mining sector. He has constituted a committee to come up with a report on export procedures.
On the procedure, so I'll call it metal export procedure, the new procedure that we're working on, because we realize that, look, the main reason why, we're told that we're not collecting enough taxes and accounting is lack of accountability. We're not accounting for our material properly in this country. The metal that goes out, metal produced, the accounting is poor. So we are saying we need to tighten up the accounting. Because if we're talking 1 million tons a year, if we can account for every ton properly, collect the tax for every ton, it will be very significant. And it becomes more pertinent now. So anytime we set up a committee actually that's looking at that metal export or mineral export procedure.
And mineral economist Dr. Matthias Impande said that making first regulatory framework on export of metals. Dr. Matthias Impande said the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, through its customs office at border posts, must provide information on how much is being exported. The move will also assist Zambia account for how much revenue it is making through export of minerals, as well as account for the amount of copper being exported. President Michael Sata has ordered that all export payments have to be routed via the central bank, including those for copper. This means that nothing will be exported out of Zambia unless confirmation of payments is received from the Bank of Zambia. Hambuba, ZNBC News in Lusaka. Well, once a lucrative business, tailoring has now been overwhelmed by cloth manufacturing industries, which mushroomed over the years. But the semi-straight business is not yet finished, because there are still pockets of tailors who are still able to make a living in spite of the competition. Tailoring has been a lucrative business in the early 1990s, as tailors easily made a killing themselves daily. At that time, selling clothes was not as complicated as it is today. People then did not mind whether a garment had a label or not. But in today's world, where the trend is to go for a designer label, the common tailor down the street seems to have lost out. Kamwana Kakoma is one of the few remaining tailors who have stuck to tailoring in spite of the competition from Salaula and others. Kakoma has put up with the influx of Salaula and imported clothes being sold on the market. Kakoma feels that while making and selling clothes for men and women may have slowed down due to competition, he has no alternatives. He, like many of his fellow tailors, have now opted to start making school uniforms to earn a living. Mr. Kakoma wants government and other institutions to engage local tailors in making uniforms.
For us tailors, that's why it's a big challenge, because each time in schools, private schools, they have their own tailors. And for us, it's a big problem, because we are tailors, and instead of school, using us as tailors in markets, now they're employing tailors who have themselves those businesses. For us, it's a big challenge.
His views have also been supported by James Ipondwe, who is happy that business of making uniforms is booming, as parents now prepare their children to start a new academic year in 2012. And Hambuba reporting in Lusaka. Now, the tourist capital is a good spot for anyone with an artistic flair to venture into making artifacts or painting artworks for sale. However, not many young people are taking advantage of this prospect, though there are a few cases like Michael Mshaukwa, who works and lives in his paintings. Let's take a look.
Can be a creative way of telling a story depicting the lifestyle of people in a particular place. Through paintings such as these, a person can also make ends meet, and Michael Mshaukwa is a Livingston-based painter who earns a living from this painting.
Art looks like a very useless thing when you're doing it, but it's a very good career because it creates self-employment to many people. You don't only have to be employed by the government or a company, but you can still do it on your own and you have money for yourself.
In a country where most youth are unemployed, art can play a vital remedy in addressing poverty. But just how paying is the art business?
On a good day, I think $1 million.
And this can only be done if art subjects are taken seriously in school.
I'm appealing to the government to take this seriously, because it's not every person who is going to work who is going to have a certificate to work in a company. So let the government also consider those people who won't qualify maybe to a certain extent, maybe to the university or to colleges, also by coming up with the proper lessons in art.
But in order for youth like Michael to succeed in their businesses, an enabling environment needs to be created for fair competition. Justin Akakubema reporting for ZNBC News, Livingston.
And using the skills of his hands, this is what Joseph Chanda has been doing to earn a living for the past 18 years. Here are the details.
Using the skills of his hands, this is what Joseph Chanda has been doing to earn a living for the past 18 years. Joseph is a father and a husband who cannot afford living a day pass without making money. Apart from repairing shoes, he is able to make slippers, which he sells to his local customers in Mutendere at the cost of 10, 15, and 30,000 kwacha respectively. On a good working day, he takes home at least 100,000 kwacha. He now explains. Joseph is a good example to many unemployed youth in the country. Lusola Musongo, reporting in Lusaka.
That ends Business News. Thank you so much for watching and good night. Business News there. Just now we take a break, and coming up, new web service launched, plus some interesting news in sports.